Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel.
This week is going to be tough because we have an incredibly intensive process to go through, which is lifting the massive cornerstones up onto the wall because we are raising the roof.
Yeah, the step we're sitting on right now, if you're new to our channel, is our barn that we're converting. If you go back, you can see the videos of the roof being removed, and the stonework is a really laborious process, but it's definitely going to be worth it.
Exactly, it's 100 years old and we're going to turn this place into our beautiful new home.
And I also wanted to add, today is actually our 15-year anniversary.
Oh.
We're the Indie Project, Bee and Theo, and we've been living and travelling the world in vans for the past 6 years. We're currently renovating an abandoned stone barn in Portugal to turn it into a beautiful tiny home for us and our cat, Ginjey Bear. Follow our journey from the very beginning as we document the whole process of creating an off-grid home.
So yesterday we completely cleaned out the veranda area, which meant digging down again to the stone, so we've got a solid foundation to fill it all back in again. And what we're going to use to fill it back in is the stuff that we broke up in the floor from the barn. We found loads of roots. We're going to save these roots because we suspect that it's from our beautiful cork tree. Cork trees don't like their roots being disturbed, so we're just going to leave them as is. Hopefully it doesn't cause a problem down the line. And I got this really cool little tool. This is so useful. And what I'm doing is just pulling all the earth out the stones. This is the last little bit to do now. There's roots that go in the wall, so I just need to pull all the roots out and then we can start filling this area in and we're good to go. Lived in there, try and say these.
Yeah, so the gravel needs to go in ASAP. Even though we only just dug it out, we're going to be filling it back in straight away because the actual scaffolding is going to be coming round to the front of the barn because they're going to start work on the front wall of the barn, and that means there's going to be some big massive stones going up on the scaffolding, and the floor is definitely not equipped for scaffolding right now. We've got those massive roots, dodgy pieces of rock and just loose soil, so the sooner the gravel's in, it needs to go in anyway, the sooner they can start working on the front and it can be a lot more secure, a lot safer, and the front can start getting the work done that it needs. And I'm also going to be helping Theo with the gravel, but we just won't film it because I'm the one doing the filming.
Yeah, you pretty much
I think I'll pretty much be able to get this here, man. Let's see what's left today. After that.
No. Oh, I can't go up first. It might be a 3-man. I'm here.
Yeah, if you can help once we're up, just to wedge it in.
Like that.
So we're pulling that all the way out.
Just watch your fingers when you get there. My goodness. Lovely. Once we get to here.
I've been doing this since 7 AM. It's now 2 PM. That's a long time, but luckily it's a slightly cooler day today, which is nice. Jack had this made up, this tool, basically just a massive lump of metal, and it crushes all this stone down. There's no point hiring, there's nowhere to hire anything here anyway, but you can get the special machines that break it down, but it's just not worth it cost wise. This is free. I'm gonna have amazing abs after it, and it's looking good. I can't believe how good it's looking. Like, I think that we won't actually have to buy any gravel whatsoever. We can just keep filling this up, flattening it out and breaking it down essentially into gravel anyway, and it looks nicer than gravel. So yeah, we're probably going to leave that, and then eventually we're going to tile over it.
As Theo said, we are going to be tiling the front of the veranda. We've been kind of toying with different ideas about what we want, and we still can't actually decide on the tile that we're going to go for out the front. We've thought of maybe going for a terracotta colour style one, but we also don't want it to look really weird next to the granite, but terracotta would work well with the tiles above it. So it's little design things like that that we need to spend a little bit more time on. It can stay as gravel for a while, but we are going to have to eventually tile it. I really like the idea of some lovely limestone slabs or some sort of like granite slabs. I don't want it to look like crazy paving, so there's lots of different ideas, but it is going to be getting tiled eventually.
So we've made some really good progress today on the front wall of the house. Basically, as a lot of you guys said we should do, we always were going to go higher. So we're actually adding about 60 centimetres onto this front wall, and we're adding quite a bit on the gable, so it's a lot steeper, so we'll have a lot more room on the mezzanine. But you can see here, this is where the original wall came to, and we've gone up about this high so far. Probably got about another 20 centimetres to go, and then we can start adding the roof on top. So after about 20 wheelbarrows of stone into the veranda area, this just looked exactly the same, and I thought it was never going to change, but another 20 wheelbarrows and it seems like we've actually started making a dent, which is nice because we need to get rid of this material somewhere. We don't need to use it for anything else really. It is quite good for like the walls and the veranda wall that we use just to kind of prop rocks up and fill in little gaps, but we've got plenty of that stuff the other side as well. So yeah, it feels good to be getting rid of it, and it's good to see your progress, because working with stone can be quite slow and sometimes you can't see the progress straight away.
As you just saw, I've been following Jack around this morning with a camera as he's been breaking up all of the big stones that we had. If you saw our last videos, you would have seen the different deliveries that we've had of the truck that comes with just an array of massive stones. And it's really great to be using granite because it means that we can just continue with the stone barn. It looks really authentic. It's the same material that was used originally, so it looks lovely. It blends in amazingly well. But not all of the stones are ready to go straight on the wall, so Jack has spent the morning cutting them up. It's not as easy to just cut it with a knife. You've got to drill the holes, you've got to smack the chisels in, you've got to break it apart, and then you've got to make sure that they fit. And some of them are absolutely massive, and the front wall of the barn is the tallest wall of the barn. The back is actually not as tall because it's on a slight slope, so that means getting these massive stones up is going to be a bit of a challenge. Now, some of them, like I'm looking at one on the scaffold right now that's still quite big. It's going to take 2 or 3 of them to lift. The next one, the cornerstone, is going to be needing a winch. Now that's a big project to use. That's a really big thing to have to get up this massive cornerstone, so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Fingers crossed it's nice and smoothly, and we're getting ever so close to the stonework being complete.
Ah, that is a tie-in stone. That one's right under there.
You grab this guy.
Aye, certainly.
Yep. What's that? On a roll there.
Okay.
I don't want that job then.
Ready? Yeah. I'm fine. Let's get there. No, I've got to try. Okay.
Your wall didn't fall apart, Kev.
Now that big stone that Jack and Theo were just moving from the pile is basically going on the top left corner of the barn. It's going to be a massive cornerstone to come up, and you just saw how hard they had to work to get that over to the barn. So that is definitely going to be going up on a winch. Now I think there's 2 more that have to go up after that. It's a slow process. Building with stone, as Theo said before, It's slow and steady. You don't see progress like that, but when you really do look at what we've done over the last few weeks, it's kind of crazy to be standing in here without the roof on. I'm looking at the walls, they're going up, it's all changing. So to see this big cornerstone going up is just another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that would do it.
I'm not gonna lie, that was an absolute mission to get these massive, great big stones all the way from over there to here. I'd say it's probably a good 30, 35 feet, which is a long way when the stones are this big. And these are now going to be lifted onto the wall. Not right now, we've still got a couple of other bits and pieces to do, but there's going to be some metal fabricated brackets that fit perfectly into the post, and then they will be bolted basically into the stone, so they're not going to go anywhere. And the reason the stones are so big, we could cut them down square, but we want all the weight possible that we can get, because these are what are going to hold the veranda roof down. If the wind gets up, it's all on this.
Things have changed with the chickens. We did actually have a bit of a, well, it was a really sad experience the other day when we came back from the lake, let the chickens out, and I looked out the caravan window and there was a fox amongst the chickens chasing them. This was in the middle of the day as well, so it wasn't like a dusk or anything like that.
That's what threw us off as well. It wasn't like the traditional time a fox would come. Usually we put them back in their coop like in the evening when we know that the foxes and the predators are going to be about, but this was in the middle of the day and it just took us so much by surprise.
Yeah, it was a total surprise. I ran out as soon as I saw the fox, and by the time I got out there, there was only one chicken that I could see, and that was Lizzie. She was lying on the floor and I thought she was dead. I picked her up and she sprang to life again, but then she did actually pass away in my arms, which was really sad. I couldn't see any wounds on her, so I think she might have actually just died from shock of the fox attack.
I think it was definitely shock, because she just kept coming in and out of consciousness. It was so sad to see.
It was really sad, and unfortunately Gladys was taken by the fox. We haven't seen her since then, so we do definitely think that the fox did take her. We haven't seen the fox again. We've still got Mary and Betty, as you might be able to hear them scuffling around in the leaves behind us. So we're down to 2 chickens.
We are going to get one more.
We are going to get one more, but it does mean that for now it's supervised outside trips for the chickens, because they love to forage and roam around. They really enjoy it.
And that was the whole thing. Like, we've had a lot of people not really understand what free range is, and to us free range was let them out of their coop and they can basically trot around all day, forage for whatever they want, and they're completely free to go wherever they want. We have 5 acres here, so they got enough space to explore, and literally they go back and sleep in their coop and repeat every day, and that's how we wanted it to be. But unfortunately we found out that it's not going to be able to be like that. So
no, and because we don't have a dog or anything that would scare a fox away. I mean, the fox wasn't even scared of our presence, so...
And Ginjey's not going to do anything. No. Ginjey's scared of the chickens.
Well, the thing is, once a fox knows that it's got an easy meal, it's going to come back. So that means that we're going to have to create a nice, big outdoor enclosure for them, because
somewhere really nice to still have bushes and trees to explore, and also we set up the camera trap as well, so if the fox does come back we can monitor that situation.
Yeah. We haven't seen it yet, but you just never know. And also I wanted to give you an update on the chickens. They're still too young to lay eggs, so they're also still too young for us to know whether they are going to be egg layers or cockerels. But we shall see. Place your bets now.
Yeah, it's a really sad situation, but also it's a really real situation. Everybody we know who homesteads or has a farm has had chickens taken. It's kind of part of it, which is really sad. We did our best and we've learnt from it, and hopefully we can improve and not let that happen again.
And here's Ginjey Bear. A lot of people ask, what does Ginjey get up to during the days? And to be honest, you just spend the whole night out, don't you? So you spend the whole day sleeping, and now it's the end of a long day, it's sunset, it's time to go on the prowl again. And off she goes. It's the end of a really successful week. It's so good to see everything that's happened this week. Get the cornerstones up, really happy with that. And make sure, if you haven't already, that you're subscribed to our channel and have the notifications turned on so you never miss an update. We post them every single Sunday, so stay tuned. It's so much fun turning this barn into our tiny home. See you next week.